Okay, I'm gonna try to remain calm in this video, but I might get a little frustrated. This is me holding your face, saying, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. I've been getting a little frustrated as I talk to more and more women who are either in dating relationships or in marriages, who are frustrated because the men that they are in relationship with are unwilling to seek counseling or be accountable to outside help. And when I ask, hey, would they be open to coming to counseling? Do they have any other men in their lives that can influence them or hold them accountable? I'm met with the same response, which is, well, I mean, he's a pretty private person. So I got some strong thoughts on, quote, private men. That's what we're going to talk about today on Relation Shots. Hey, welcome to Relation Shots. My name's Eric Wooten. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome to the place to get practical relationship advice that actually works in your relationship. If you've not already done so, go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you want a free guide to intimacy, you can click the link in the description area below. If you're looking for some resources to strengthen your relationship, you'll find all of those in the description area below as well. All right. Let's talk, quote, private guy. Actually, before we do that, let me remind you that I believe with all my heart, the number one key to success in marriage is the presence of community. I'm not going to bore you with the details because I did a whole video on it that you can go check out. But community provides support, it provides security, it provides accountability for you and your relationship and your partner. It is important. So now let's talk private guys. I'm having more and more conversations with wives and girlfriends who are reaching out to me to ask for help because they're frustrated, because there's issues going on in their relationships, and it seems the men they're with aren't interested in getting outside help to work on the relationship. So they express to me their frustrations and what's going on and what they'd like to change. And so I'm always going to ask how I can help. So I may ask, hey, would they be open to coming in for counseling? Maybe a session or two, we can help you get unstuck in some areas. Would they be open to attending one of our 6-week live Zoom classes done with other couples where they can learn some new stuff, or they can interact a little bit, but kind of talk to whatever level they're comfortable with? Would they be interested, if you're married, in being a part of our marriage membership, which is probably the easiest way to step in, where you could do some videos and worksheets on your own, and then we also have a community where they can begin to relate to and connect to some other men. And when I give them all those options, I'm almost always met with the same thing. Yeah, I've tried to ask them, but they're just not interested in that stuff. They're just really a private person. Let me say this once. Actually, I'm going to say it a whole bunch of times. It just feels good to say, let me say this one time, So listen, private isn't healthy, period. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for them. Any reason that somebody is private usually has an unhealthy driver behind it. When somebody is, quote, private, it's because they've got stuff in their past that they don't want you to know about. They've got some secrets that they don't want you to find out. Maybe they're in the midst of doing shady stuff right now and they don't want you to catch them. Maybe they don't want to submit to anybody or unwilling to have accountability in their life. Maybe they think they're the smartest person around and they don't need and won't ever need any outside wisdom. Maybe they've been hurt by people before, and so being private helps them avoid future pain. Whatever it is, I don't care what the why behind them being private is. What I'm here to tell you is being private is unhealthy for them, and it's unhealthy for you if you're in relationship with them. Do not date, do not marry a, quote, private person. If the person you're dating says they're private, I want you to push them to try to step out of this private mentality and be around other people and allow relationships into their life that can hopefully influence them so they see that it's not such a bad thing to not be private anymore. But if you're dating and you feel like, I'm not saying like the first date, but if you've been dating for a little while, couple months, and you think it might be going somewhere, I want you to ask your potential future partner these 3 questions to help you understand a little bit about whether they're going to be, quote, the private person somewhere down the road, which is going to put you in a position where you're always at the mercy of whether or not they feel like doing what you want them to do. You're the only one who will be able to hold them accountable if they're, quote, private. And so if they don't want you holding them accountable, which is a lot of people in marriage, I don't often want my wife holding me accountable when I don't want to do what I know I need to be doing, which is why I need outside voices to help hold me accountable to the right things in my relationship. So I want you to ask these 3 questions to help get a better understanding of whether or not this is a private person. Question number 1 is, when you get stuck in a situation or decision, how do you handle it? And then just listen. And what I'm listening for is the involvement of other people. If it's, I'll just figure it out, or I just push through it, or I just, and you don't hear anybody else involved, that could be a red flag there. And so I would follow up with, who would you call? Just to help them, help feed them what you really want the answer to be, and see what they might come up with in here. Now, if they can't come up with somebody, or they can't come up with any names very quickly, that's probably a red flag for you that they might be private and don't want anybody else in their business. So that's one question. Question number 2 is, who in your life calls you out on poor or destructive attitudes or behaviors? And then listen. Hopefully they can come up with a name or 2 or 3 or 4 fairly quickly. If they do kind of stumble around or if they do come up with a name, don't just be satisfied with that. Say, give me an example. Like, tell me one of the times that you were doing something foolish or you need to be held accountable, and who it was and what they did and how you responded. You want to see a track record. So if they just go, oh yeah, Dave and Tom, they can hold me accountable. And you're like, give me an example. Well, I never had to because, I just never really done anything. Okay. Can you at least give me an example where you did it for them? Because what I'm doing is I'm calling BS on this one. They ain't holding anybody accountable, and nobody's holding them accountable. And if they don't have an answer to any of this, and it's just like, well, I would follow up with, well, help me understand, like, then how do you grow? Because we only know what we know. So how do you grow? And if how they grow does not include other people, that's a problem again. Well, I read books and just life experience, and I watch videos. Now, I need some other people to help with your growth, because otherwise you're left to your own interpretation and your own wisdom. So that's a second question you want to ask to help determine if they're a private person. And question number 3 is super key for your relationship. You may ask them something like this. If we were to get stuck or struggle in our relationship, would you be open to going to counseling or meeting with a mentor couple who could help us in the areas where we're stuck or can't find agreement? And the area to the answer to this absolutely has to be yes. If it's not yes, just get up and be like, very nice to meet you, sir. I just don't think it's going to work out for us. Listen, if you're not willing, I'm 27 years into marriage, and we still have those people in place that when we get stuck and we can't make a decision that has to be made, we will call the people we are comfortable with, some mentor couples, and they will help us render a decision. They will help us resolve a conflict. Listen, you never graduate past the need for this. If they don't have this in their life, that's a dangerous position. So if the person you're dating answers those 3 questions poorly, I would tell you it's probably a good time to move on. It's not healthy for you to be with a private person, but some of you, well, we're just so in love. Okay, well then tell them you're not comfortable with these answers and you think they do need community and you don't like the idea of privacy. You don't think it's healthy for a relationship, and see if they're willing to let you influence them into it. If you're married, I'm not telling you to leave. I'm telling you, okay, now is time to start trying to influence or push your spouse towards some relationships that may provide this in their life so that privacy doesn't remain in their life. It may be as simple as, man, just start hanging out with some other couples where the husband's value community, and maybe your husband can build relationship with them and see the value of it and get that influence so that they don't remain a private person. But I'm telling you, if you're dating and you're with a private person, that's dangerous, it's not healthy, and you're going to pay for it at some point. I know right now everything's great and they receive from me, and when I correct them, they respond. Okay, but there will be a season in your relationship when they don't. And when they don't, what are you going to do? You're going to reach out to me and I'm going to be like, I told you, watch my video, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts on, quote, private men. I'm not a fan. Those are 3 questions you can ask to help better understand their views on privacy and whether they have any accountability in their life. Again, I think the number one key to healthy relationships and healthy marriage is the presence of community, and a private person does not value community. That's dangerous to me. Love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's talk about this subject. I'll just take my word for it. You got some opinions as well. If we can help you in any area of your relationship, check out the resources in the description area below. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on Relationshots.